Foundation. I am the education and internship specialist at the foundation, and I will be managing the Trailhead Ambassador program. And we are super appreciative for you all to be allowing us to kind of guinea pig this summer with you all. And this is a brand new program with the foundation, and I'm going to say this a number of times throughout this presentation, but your input's going to be the most important thing. I think that comes out of this summer is just the ideas you bring and just ways that we can fine tune this program. So in general, I did kind of want to start with this first slide. This is kind of what a general outlook looks like for our tabling setup. So as you can see, there's a table, some information there. This is one of our education booths, however. And as we go through, we'll talk a little bit about what the needs are currently and what kinds of materials we'll be having at our trailhead stations. But just kind of wanted to give you a picture of generally what a setup kind of looks like, and just we will also be emailing this slide after this presentation, so you're welcome to review some of the information here as well. So about us, it sounds like most of you are familiar with our foundation, but just in case you are not, the Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation has been providing volunteer stewardship for 1.6 million acres of the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. We work in partnership with the Forest Service, and we try to address some of those challenges that are occurring in and around the Bob Marshall. And we've been working with the Forest Service for close to 30 years now. And on top of just stewarding and improving our trails, we're also trying to do that extra step of educating and trying to prevent some issues that we may see within the Bob. So with that, our mission and vision as a foundation is to connect all people to public lands and to work to connect people with America's heritage by providing access and stewardship to one of the world's most spectacular places, in our opinion, the Bob Marshall Wilderness. And it sounds like a lot of you already have a deep connection to the space. And I'm really excited to have you all join and share that with some of the folks you might chat with. So why we need trailhead ambassadors, as you can see, or as you've probably experienced, the Bob Marshall Wilderness, 1.6 million acres, thousands of miles of trails within there. And here on this map, what I really appreciate about it is not only does it show the ranger districts, but you can see that it also encompasses the Great Bear Wilderness as well as the Scapegoat Wilderness. There are 3 different national forests that help manage the Bob Marshall Wilderness, as well as 5 different ranger districts. So just with all these folks, you know, working so hard within the Bob, we also do see a ton of visitors. So trailhead ambassadors would be stationed at a trail, and especially the busiest trails. We have a list, and we'll go get to that in a second, of some of our trails that the Forest Service has requested for support with chatting with visitors to the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So having an individual stationed there, or even a pair of people stationed at a really important trailhead, will be critical over the next few summers as we see an increase of use, and as we have been seeing just some priority issues that could easily be addressed by just a person being there to help answer some of those questions or raise some of those initial pieces of information that folks might have thought of, but maybe, you know, as they're heading into the trailhead, might have forgotten their shovel to use the bathroom, or might, you know, be new to Montana, so not aware how to address when they come across stock. So having those trailhead ambassadors to just kind of answer those really quick, easy questions, we feel will be really instrumental over these next few years. I briefly chatted about some of our priority issues, but we'll dig into it a little bit more. So we will have our trail ambassadors discuss some of the fundamental F's. So this summer, we're focusing on fish, feces, fire, and food. So the fundamental F's. However, some of the trailheads, and we'll go over that a bit more as well, are just focusing on food, feces, and fire. Not all the trailheads will have this fish regulations issue we'll dig into, but it is kind of fun to kind of remember it as the four F's, along with stock. So the fundamental F's in stock. I'll come up with something a little bit more clever in the future, but currently those are the things we really want to hone in on this summer and focus on. So the first issue, priority issue, is food. So lots of folks coming from all over. We have Continental Divide hikers also joining us within the Bob. So making sure that there is food storage available, knowing what attractants are, making sure that folks are aware of what a bear hang looks like if they don't have proper food storage, and just keeping a clean camp. We'll have that additional information as well if people did want to take a photo of it with their phone. We are trying to limit the amounts of paper that are going into the Bob. So the main means of receiving this information will either be a person stationed there being able to deliver this information, or having such a flyer such as the one that's listed here, and having folks snap a photo of it, because there is no reception in the Bob or a lot of our trailheads, being able to disseminate that information, or even pointing to the trailhead, right? A lot of that information is generally listed there at trailhead signs. So being able to further address that information. Additionally, as we know, lots of bears are in the Bob. So at these specific trailheads, you might get questions that flare up, such as, are there bears in the area? The answer is yes. Or there may be like just things to be aware if there was a bear sighted near in the area. And we will provide some of that information before you go out as well. But those are just some of the main things, is keeping food and your camp spot clean. So being aware of that. So that's the first F, food. Now we have fire. It's been a very dry year in Montana. You know, snow wasn't as much as we would like. So making sure campfires are safe this summer is also very critical. I essentially say to make a fire soup, right? So want to make sure that fires are responsible. So keeping a campfire away from pets, children, only light a fire when you are present and able to control it. Using rocks to create a fire ring, or not you making a fire at all. Does the day require a fire? Do you have your own camp stove where you wouldn't need a fire whatsoever? Sometimes drawing up that question really makes people reconsider whether their fire is necessary. And then if they do decide to build a fire, drown, stir, drown, and feel, to make sure that the fire is fully out before they retire to their tent. So having this checklist is pretty important, and just kind of running through it really quick. Yeah, so fire. So we had food, fire, now we're at feces. So making sure that folks have a poop plan. As we know, one of the greatest landmarks in the Bob Marshall Wilderness is the Chinese Wall. Lots of folks are traveling to the Chinese Wall. However, the closer they get to the wall, the less opportunities there is to properly dig a latrine or a cat hole. Lots of folks don't consider that. Therefore, we are seeing a lot of surface poop in and around that area. The Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest does provide some shovels along the trail in those areas. We will have a map that has those points of where those shovels are located to help prevent that, but also making sure folks have a poop plan, making sure they have a trowel or they're taking a wag bag, knowing that this is 6 to 8 inches. I like to say hang loose and take a deuce. So, the hang loose symbol is really fun. You always get a nice chuckle out of that. And just making sure folks understand that there aren't necessarily outhouses in the wilderness. And although there may be a few at cabins, those are for Forest Service. So, when Mother Nature calls, it calls, and you have to go. And sometimes it's not, where a outhouse is. So, especially in the wilderness. So having a poop plan is extremely critical, especially on the Rocky Mountain side or near any alpine lakes within the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So if folks are planning on camping in and around any of those areas or along any of our wild rivers, knowing what kind of poop plan they need for the location that they're recreating is really important. So again, we have food, fire, feces, and now we're moving on to fish. This was provided to us by the fish biologists of the Flathead National Forest, and we will have this critical information, but as you can see, there is a new regulation that it is catch and release season from July 1st to July 31st. We'll also provide some fish regulation booklets as well to our Trailhead ambassadors so that folks are able to maybe take those if they don't have one or are unfamiliar with how fishing works in the Bob. So this information will be especially important for folks coming in through Owl Creek or other South Fork tributary areas. So yeah, we'll make sure to have this in every kit, and also wanted to run this by you. Some other issue or some other things that folks might have questions about in terms of fishing that is in the regulations book is not using a treble hook. So that is a hook with 3 prongs, and that is again in all of the regulation booklets that will be provided to you. So now we have food, fire, feces, fish, and last but not least, stock. So this informational was developed by the Backcountry Horsemen, and we did include it. We'll have some more information regarding stock. However, this is from the perspective of a trail user and how to be safer on horses. Some folks recreating in the Bob may not be familiar with how to address approaching stock while on the trail. So again, Trailhead ambassadors would be critical in helping provide that education piece in what to do when you see stock on the trail. So here's a short, quick informational stop 30 feet from horses, communicate, speak to the rider and the horse. Horses sometimes fall asleep when they're on the trail, so just talking, making them aware, perking up, letting them know that you're there before they're walking next to you and get surprised. Ask questions. The rider will know their stock better than you do, so they will let you know, hey, the one in the back might be a little bit more jumpy, so just continue talking all the way through, or can you give us a little bit more space, or, keep your backpack on. Those are all things that that you should be doing while you're on the trail. Ask questions, yield, so step to the low side and stay inside of the horse. Do not go behind a tree. Just make sure the horse can see you. They are prey animals. Be patient. The rider might ask you to wait while they ride past, and make sure that any pets that you have with you are to the side, on a leash, or just completely under control. So again, this information could be really important to just have there if it is a person's first time being and hiking in an area with stock. Before we move on to this, I know we did cover quite a bit of information. I'm happy to take any questions if any did come up at any point. Also happy to chat about, yeah, any other questions before we talked about some of those fundamental priority issues. And if anything does come up at any point, feel free to raise your hand in the Zoom, or you can just type something into the chat as well, and I will. Oh, here we go. We do have a question. Okay, no questions. Great. And Rebecca can also help facilitate that if any of their questions do come up. Um, Awesome. Okay. So, commitments and expectations from volunteers. So, because it is our first year, we want to make sure that we're getting a good group of folks. And so far, it seems like we have an amazing group of folks. And we are requesting that our Trailhead ambassadors for the summer are able to work about 5 hours a day or volunteer for 5 hours a day. So roughly around 8 a.m. to 1. So think about when you see folks approaching the trail most often. People typically won't be going into the bob um, in the afternoon, maybe at 1 would be the latest. So just think morning hours when folks are maybe heading in for the day. And another commitment will be we would request you to do at minimum 2 days this summer. So they can be together or at two different points this summer. But 5 hour shift essentially over 2 days this summer would be our extent of our commitment this summer from our Trailhead ambassadors. And if you are able to commit to that, that would be amazing. If you wanted to do more, that would be even more incredible. And we would really appreciate that from you all this summer. So as we begin this process, we will be having a check-in form. So there's a link here. We'll also be sending it out. And this is a great toolkit that is loading that you can come and visit. It's linked to our website. And this will help you, again, collect that information. Some of the stuff that we're going over today will live here. You can sign up for shifts using these buttons. And we'll go through a few more of what these buttons are, but I did want to share that and just kind of give you a reference to what that's going to look like when you sign up for a shift in the future. And here are some of the shifts that are currently available. The Forest Service is just really happy to have folks be stationed most dates. So a lot of them are pretty flexible. Some of the main ones, I know they're coming up really quickly, but Rocky Mountain Ranger District did say that some of their priority dates would be 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, but essentially any summer weekend would be incredible for them to have support at the benchmark trailhead. And some of the information that they would love their trailhead ambassadors to share are the 3 Fs. So that would be food, fire, feces. Rocky Mountain Ranger District does not have that same issue of the fish, so they're just the 3 Fs, and stock. So food, fire, feces, and stock. Same with the Gibson Reservoir, those very popular holiday weekends where you're getting a ton of visitors entering the Bob would be those critical points to have those opportunities for education and communication. However, again, Forest Service would be very happy to have you just there because it is a very popular trailhead and folks are going at all hour or all days this summer. We also have Sealy Lake is requesting support at Owl Creek, Trailhead. Um, no specific days, but here you're looking at fish, fire, food, feces, and stock. Spotted Bear is requesting support at Meadow Creek with no specific dates in mind, but again, um, fish, fire, feces, food, and stock. And there's also some opportunity to be at the ranger station, at the museum. And feel free to reach out to me if you wanted more information about that. They are looking for some folks to help them maybe manage their museum again for a few shifts for a few hours this summer. Um, and last but not least, Lincoln Ranger District is hoping for some support at Heart Lake and Indian Meadows. So that's the same trailhead, but it's for the Heart Lake location. No specific dates, and they're focusing on food, fire, and feces as well. So yes, lots of opportunities to get out there this summer, and yeah, um, hopefully you all get to check out some new locations as well. So what we will provide within our kits will be our tabling kit will look like some stickers for completing an informational quiz, and we will also provide you a quiz to ask folks. And most of this is, what is your poop plan? And, are you prepared? And can how can you show me how deep 6 inches is, or how deep of a hole should you dig? We will also be providing a hype flag, so that's just Bob Marshall Wilderness Volunteers flag, so people know who you are and who you're associated with. Some additional supplemental information. So if there are fire restrictions happening at the trailhead you'll be going to, or maybe some essential closures, we'll address that within our tabling kit. We'll also provide you with some bear spray as well as a canister to keep that bear spray nice and safe until you're ready to have it with you on your person. A fishing regulations booklet, some maps for some folks that may have some questions. We'll provide a tablecloth, a table, and a tent to keep you in the shade. I know these days may get hot this summer. One of our Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex field guides, some interaction forms, which will just mark how many folks you're seeing, maybe a little bit about their itinerary and things you all chatted about. And finally, an inReach, so you can communicate and check in and check out with us for the day, so we know that you are no longer at the trailhead, or you have safely found and arrived at the trailhead. And okay, I have a question from Caroline. If you did want to commit to working a weekend at a busy trailhead, we could chat with the Forest Service and see if they could provide a campsite. And as Rebecca mentioned, there could be a potential to also stay at an admin site, especially if you're helping disseminate their information. That should be pretty easy to accommodate, as long as you get us those dates within an appropriate time frame. And what our trailhead ambassadors will provide is a great attitude, again, that really invaluable feedback that we will need as we continue to develop this program. Always pack water bottle. At the trailheads, there should be some water there available as well. Pack your snacks, your lunch for the day. Again, the shifts are roughly around 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I'm pretty snacky. I usually will make sure that I have my own. And we also invite you to bring any special education topics or activities that you would want to bring separately. So if there's something that you specialize in or are really passionate about, we would love to encourage you to maybe also, bring some of that love in as well to what you want to share with the public. So if you're really interested in rafting or water, feel free to talk about, it's the 50th anniversary of the South Fork and some of those wild and scenic rivers. So that's pretty cool to discuss with folks. Also, if you are camping for the night, bring your own camp setup if you are staying at that trailhead for the weekend. Um, and got it. Um, so yes. Um, all right. I guess before we change gears, Rebecca, I can work on answering that question if you wanted to. Or also, I guess since we're switching gears, are there any other questions? Caroline, I see yours.
This is Carolyn. I don't
Yeah,
need an immediate answer to that at
yeah.
all. It's just
Okay.
something that those, it's a long drive to those
Yep.
campsites, to those places. And one of the reasons I'm interested is I think it would be fun to go for 5 days and work for three.
Mm-hmm.
But pulling in on Friday evening, I mean, Meadow Creek you'd probably be okay, but Indian Meadows,
Mm-hmm.
there might not be a place to park.
And at
Um,
Indian Meadows, yeah, there is a like admin site there as well. So if you would be volunteering there, I see, yeah, there to be no issue with you potentially setting
okay,
up there.
yeah,
Yeah, just
it's
as long
just,
as we give them like that information beforehand or let them know, give them a heads up that you'll
uh-huh,
be
uh-huh,
staying there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Aaron, you'll have to do the slides for me since you have
Okay.
controls of that,
Mhm.
but because I don't think I can control that. Yeah, thanks everyone. I am Rebecca Powell. I'm the program director here at the Bob Marshall Wilderness Foundation, and I've been working with Aaron to kind of set up these alternative options for folks that want to volunteer and give back to public lands, but not necessarily go back for 5 days and swing tools. So, um, we're developing these new options of Trailhead Ambassador. We also have the Great Bear Trail Posse, which is a training that we do for getting folks up to date on what Forest Service trail clearing standards are, and then they can go on their own time and go out and do whatever kind of trail work they want. And another thing is the solitude monitoring. So some of you might be here to find out about what is solitude monitoring and why that's important. But as Aaron mentioned, the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex is 1.6 million acres of federally designated wilderness. And within that, there's some parameters about how to maintain wilderness character for the Forest Service. The Forest Service manages all of that land within the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. Um, and they have to report on how things are going out there. And one of the things they do is solitude monitoring. So they're asking for help to have folks out there who are already out there and going to be doing things to help with their solitude monitoring. Now, as any government organization, you can imagine that there is a lot of paperwork involved and specifics involved with that. So, if you want to put to the next slide, Aaron. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yes, and can you allow that person in the waiting room and
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, so why do we want to monitor the solitude? Well, the Wilderness Act of 1964 identifies opportunities for solitude as a fundamental component of the Wilderness Act. So we want to make sure that's still happening out there. Um, if you're going to go to the Chinese Wall, you might expect to see a lot more people. But if you're going to go into up the North Fork of the Blackfoot to some remote location up the Dry Forks, you might not see as many people. And so the Forest Service wants to manage those. And if things start getting really busy, they can make some management plans to lessen some of that busyness. So, yeah, monitoring visitor encounters helps answer questions that the Forest Service is asking, like are visitors actually able to find solitude anywhere? How much use is occurring in a specific area? Are visitor experiences changing over time? Do management strategies need adjustment? That's kind of all the information that we're going to be getting from the public out there as they're doing the solitude monitoring. Next slide, please. What is solitude monitoring? So essentially, it's taking a printout of the form and going into the backcountry and taking notes of the things you see. So the powers of observation are your biggest tool. You're going to encounter day users, backpackers, stock users, and you're going to identify that all of what they are and who they were. You can also observe if you're by Schaefer Meadows, maybe the aircraft that's been landing, any admin crews, trail crews that you came across, any outfitters. Also, a big one that they want some information is campsites, how many people were spending the night out in the backcountry and using camps grounds or established camp spots, or were they just day hiking? That kind of information. Next, please. So here's kind of an example of one of the forms that you would take. It's essentially data collection. So before you would go on a trip, you would print out a form. And then, of course, tell somebody where you're going to go, where you're going to be, and when you're coming back, so that there's some accountability out there. If you don't show back up, someone knows where to come find you. And then bring the proper supplies. So, the form, a pencil, map, water, all of your stuff you need for day hiking. It's a pretty simple task. So if you're already out there, this could be a good thing to do. They are requiring for the recommendation, or they're requiring a minimum period of 4 hours to record all the folks that you've seen. And so, if you're going for just a 1 hour hike or something, you could easily record it, but they might not take that data into their database, and they want a 4 hour period. They recommend that you travel through areas that are likely to experience visitor use so that they can get an adequate number of the people that you encounter. And then, of course, stay observant throughout your hike so how many campsites you encountered, that kind of thing. These kind of monitoring activities can be combined with a trailhead ambassadorship. Maybe if you were staying in a trailhead for a 4-day period and you did 2 hours or 2 days as a trailhead ambassador, you could spend a day, another day out just hiking or riding, and then marking your encounters while you're out there. We also have, of course, wilderness stewardship projects that we host. And if you're on one of those, you could have a little side hustle of doing some monitoring as well. And then any time you want to just have some free time on your hikes or backpacking trips, you can do this kind of monitoring. So, as Erin mentioned before, this is kind of our first year of offering these opportunities, and the Solitude monitoring to learn how to fill out the form and all that stuff correctly to the Forest Service requirements is a little bit more extensive. And so we're going to be building in the next year a more robust training program for that. So what we need this year from folks is photos to go along with our training. So this is a call from specifically the Hungry Horse Ranger District, who really wants the help with that, but all the districts would use the help. And if you are interested in this year, we don't have the forms to fill out yet. We're working on first establishing how we're going to do that. So this year, it's going to be collecting photos for us to use in those trainings. So Yeah, the photos will be used as a slide deck to help volunteers practice identifying and recording the types of encounters they may observe while monitoring. These are the photos needed. So this was sent to us from the Forest Service, and this is the kind of photos that they need. So they need you can read through it. This is also going to be on our website. They want trailheads with crowded parking lots. They want trailheads with light parking in them. They want float parties. They want outfitter and guides. You know, uh, um, out there in the backcountry. It's kind of like a photo bingo. Maybe you take it out there and if you're on a multi-day trip, you can take this form out there and be like, oh, I'm gonna get a picture of this. Uh, and yeah, and then we could use it for our training for future um, solitude monitor training. And if you, oh yeah, here's some photo tips. The scenarios that are needed. We kind of talked about that in the last slide, small groups, large groups, that kind of stuff. It's important to show the whole group for larger groups on trails or rivers. Take a wide angle view. Take pictures of people or stock or animals, boats, watercraft. Um, keep it realistic. Photos should look like normal wilderness encounters. They can, your photos can be staged, but not too unnaturally staged. Uh, yeah, avoid formal group photos or people posing for the camera. That's not as great for our training because that's not a natural thing that you would come across as a group posed for a photo. And then, if you're in a camp, it's best to try and capture the entire camp. So, like, um, they should allow the viewers to estimate the number of people and how many tents there are, whether there's stock animals there or boats, rafts, or pack rafts. If there's a bear hang, if there's food storage, that kind of stuff. Try to think about those details when you're looking at somebody's camp and taking those photos. And then, of course, we don't want to just be out there taking photos of the public if they don't want their photo taken. So, people's privacy matters. We don't want to submit photos or use them if they're not agreeable to that. So, avoid close-up of faces. Distance shots are preferred. Um, Photos showing identifiable faces may only be used if there are volunteers for the foundation because they've already signed a notice saying that they're willing to have their photo taken, or if they're Forest Service employees who are intentionally participating. Other than that, be sure like, hey, I'm gathering info to help train folks in the Forest Service. Do you mind if I take your photo for training? And they'll say yes or no, and then you can do that. The photos to submit, if you're out there and you take photos, submit them afterwards to Coulter Pence. Her email is here, and then she's requesting that when you submit it, you submit the location where the photo was taken and the scenario number represented on the photo. That was scenario number refers back to that table that we looked at before. And that helps kind of us organize all the photos in the correct way. And again, this stuff is going to be on our website. So if you were to go out there, you could just maybe print off a little bingo card. And then when you get back, you can find the email of where to submit that to. Yeah, so that's that was solitude monitoring in a nutshell. Like I said, we're in our first year of training for that, so we're in our initial stages, and you guys could help with gathering some of that content for us to use for training later, and then we'll have a more kind of robust solitude monitoring training and planning in the years to come. So that's all I've got for my spiel. We have looks like we've got about 15 more minutes. We don't need to use it all, but happy to answer any questions anybody might have or, um, yeah.
One thing I didn't address that I can quickly chat on is the toolkit, kind of the next steps of the Trailhead Ambassador program of what we're looking for. We will be working to build this toolkit. Things are still coming into the mail. We're kind of still building it. We're hoping to have it done within the next couple weeks so that if somebody did want to take it out for 4th of July, it could potentially be available. Or if not, it would be available the week after that. But it will be, we will have one that lives in Missoula, and then we will have potentially another one that lives in Hungry Horse, but we will be collaborating on how to get those back and forth or how to deliver those to you. But generally, it will either be living in Hungry Horse or Missoula, depending on when people sign up for shifts. We will be working on exchanging those and getting those to you. Um, and yeah, it just kind of the next step is I think looking at your schedule and seeing what shifts interest you or what trailheads you would be interested in doing um some trailhead ambassadoring at.
Yeah, the next steps, there's a question in the chat. What are the next steps for solitude monitoring? How do we get signed up for that? The next steps are if you know that you have a trip coming up and you want to help out and participate in the solitude monitoring and building our training program, I would go to the website that Erin has here, and you can find the Trailhead Ambassador thing. If you scroll all the way down to the top of the page, Erin, there you go. If you go into programs, it's under that tab. So Trailhead Ambassador Solitude will get you to this page. And on that page, you can scroll down to the button that's a photo guidelines for solitude. So that's what we're doing this year. That's what we're collecting this year. You could click on that. It kind of goes over what I just talked about, the purposes of the photos, what to photograph, that kind of stuff. And at the end, on the last page, there is that kind of photo bingo. So that's all on your own. You could start that tomorrow if you wanted. And again, submitting those photos to Coulter when you come out and do that. So that's a self motivated thing. And yeah, you can start that now. You're signed up. You're already signed up.
And maybe one note is don't forget to in the subject line specify it is for solitude monitoring
Oh yeah.
training.
Yeah, great tip. I should update that. And then as far as signing up for the Trailhead Ambassador, yeah, Aaron can click on that, and that brings you to a Google form. And on that Google form, you can fill out if there's these are the locations in which the Forest Service has requested some help at, and if you want to claim one of those, you can put your name, phone number, email, and the date you're going to be there. Um, and that's we'll see that and it maybe send Aaron or I an email saying, hey, I just signed up for this week. And we'll make sure we get you the box, the tote full of all the goodies that you would need for that Trailhead Ambassador stuff.
This is Carolyn. What a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're
Yeah.
happy that you're here and you're interested in doing this. Yeah,
Yes.
like we've said it a number of times, but our first year of doing this, and it's exciting that there's a handful of you here that are interested in it. And yeah, we're excited to grow it and have it be more of an opportunity for folks. And how cool it'd be to just sit at a trailhead and chat with folks that love the Bob. Help teach them some stuff. Again, this is recorded, so we'll link this recording to that website we just showed you as well. So if you want to rewatch it or send it to a friend that wants to join you, let us know and we can yeah, you can see it there.
And if any other questions do come up, feel free to reach out to us. My email is Erin, ERYNN, at BMWF.org. It's also on at the bottom of this page. Feel free to send me a text, give me a call or an email. Happy to yeah, answer any questions that come up after today or after this training.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming today, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you all soon.
Okay. Thank you both for sharing all this with us. This was great.
You're welcome.